Y'all, I feel some type of way right about now. I ain't gonna even lie to y'all. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all at all. Sky Squad, we are back in the building and we gotta talk about some tea that just dropped, okay? Freshly brewed, stewed, and ready to consume, okay? So let's get into the news, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys happen to know this, but Carlos King has a new podcast out. It is called Reality with the King, as in the king of reality TV, that is. So he made a post this morning. He said, exclusive, my first episode of my podcast, Reality with the King, is now available. And it's an exclusive with Eboni K. Williams on if she feels she's single-handedly responsible for the Real Housewives of New York franchise being split into two shows. Black folks saying she ruined the show, her current relationship with the cast, and a deep conversation on my opinion of her as a housewife that got so deep I ended up apologizing to her. If you think you know Eboni, you don't. Listen to this interview to see why. I'm a stan now. Love you, Eboni, and I can't thank you enough for your honesty. Podcast available on all platforms. Listen, y'all, as soon as I saw this, I was like, clicking the link, okay? Clicking the link. Because I was like, if I know Carlos King, he's going to get to the T, okay? Judging by what we saw at the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion, he going to ask the tough questions, and he did. He did not hesitate to give his opinion. He did not hesitate to double and triple down when needed to on a question that needed to be answered, even if she couldn't answer it. And then Eboni too was also able to. Let me tell you something I like about the two of them, and I want to say this, and I say it with the sincerity of these are two Black individuals who are accomplished and who remind me to let the world know how accomplished we all are. And I say that they talk about their accomplishments without bragging, but they say it so that people will know the work that they put into the industry, and we need to be more comfortable with that type of approach. I just think as Black people in general. Now, beyond that, let's get to the tea, okay? So the tea is this. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right off the rip. Carlos basically asked if Eboni was blackballed by the cast with regards to making a return to the next season of the Real Housewives of New York franchise. And this is what has me so highly upset and annoyed right now. Eboni was hesitant to call it blackball. She says, it wasn't the network. It was the women. Okay. It was the women on the show, and maybe blackballed is not the right word. Maybe it's iced out. Okay. We've seen this happen before on shows where women will refuse to film with someone, or they just don't want to have contact with that person. And so in order to limit that person's ability to really fully integrate into the show, they will ice that person out so that that person really doesn't either A, feel comfortable coming back the next season, or B, there's no story for them because the ladies aren't actually friends, right? And so what we find out from Eboni is that the women were unwilling to come to the table to have an agreement to film together for the new season of the Real Housewives of New York City. As such, it sounds like the network, and I'm going to put allegedly here, just because I feel like, you just got to put allegedly, in the, y'all know how we do it. But as such, the network has now decided to go in two different directions with New York, with a legacy cast where, they talked about the surety of the likelihood that Ramona will remain on that legacy cast. They also talked about where that legacy cast will go. Carlos King believes the legacy cast will go on Bravo. Eboni is not quite so sure. She thinks that the reboot could go on Bravo, and then the legacy could go on the Peacock streaming services. Don't really know, okay? Don't know much about the legacy show other than it will likely be centered around Ramona, Luann, and possibly Sonia, Jill, Bethany has basically stated that they can't give her the amount of money that it would take for her to come back. But we're back to what I was saying about them icing her out. So, as you guys know, a lot of people felt divided about Eboni's stance on the show. And, Carlos basically said what a lot of people had been saying was that, it at first it felt like it wasn't a good fit. He even admitted to stop watching after the Black Shabbat dinner. That's when I stopped watching. And ironically, that's where Eboni stopped watching the show, because it just became too uncomfortable because of the conversations with the ladies' reactions to sensitive topics like race. Okay, let's just put it like that. And sometimes I guess the audience wasn't always comfortable with that conversation either. But Eboni says that, listen, if as this reboot is coming on, which Carlos King says that he does believe she's going to be a part of, that, she could be a centerpiece in that. And she believes that if she were to go back, that people will get to see a different side of her as a housewife, definitely just having more fun and not feeling necessarily the pressures of being the first Black woman on a franchise, or which I always hated when they do that. I just feel like it adds an inordinate amount of pressure. I mean, it's obvious that she's Black. We don't need to, it doesn't need to be stated. You know what I'm saying? It should not be historic at this point that you're having the first Black cast member on a show. I mean, it is what it is. She's a woman who lives in New York City. Bam, we casted her. That's it. All right. Anyway, but again, the T, how are they having the power to ice someone out? And see, this is what happens. The grave that you are trying to dig for someone else is the one that you will fall into. It will happen every single time. So even Leah, okay, at this point, who we got the introduction of Eboni from, but they weren't really necessarily even friends. You know what I'm saying? And now it's definitely proven that she was allegedly a part of the posse that did not want to resolve the issues that they had with her. So we were correct when we heard these types of rumors back a couple of months ago. The only person that was willing to come to the table to figure out a path forward was Sonia Morgan. Sonia Tremonte Morgan, okay? She was the only one, not Ramona, not Leah, Leah was so all about the movement and the culture. I mean, girl, what happened? Was it only good for when the cameras was on? I mean, I don't know that. I do believe that Leah is. I do believe it's not that I don't think she got Black friends or nothing like that. I definitely believe she does. But I just feel like it just comes across as performative when you have the opportunity to make a situation with the cast work by just simply, they could have just came back, brought in some old characters, kept the new, and tried to figure out the path forward as they move forward. However, they've split it, and I'm fine with it. Okay, do what you got to do. Because quite honestly, if you're not willing to watch, and Eboni stated this, if you're not willing to watch the addition of a Black woman on this cast of women, then you're probably not going to want to watch the reboot that features a multicultural cast anyway. So you might as well just go on ahead and watch the legacy cast, because that's probably all you wanted to see anyway. Now I'm gonna watch both of them because I'm a fan of, the old housewives of New York City, in from back in the day, from season 1. That's me. I'm an OG fan. But I'm rocking with, I want to see some culture. I want to see culture and diversity in New York City. So, let's have at it. She also revealed that she and Bershawn are not necessarily friends, but she doesn't wish Bershawn any ill will. And if, the network decided to bring her back, which I think would be a good thing because they are two very different types of very accomplished Black women. And I think that needs to be stated. So I feel like if both of them can come back in and bring in the mix, but here is the tea though. You're going to have to listen to the interview to get all the tea, but Eboni did let us know that, she is, trying to pull together some names from the Rolodex to enter into the pot for this reboot. And I'm here for it because after my interview with Eboni, listening to this interview, seeing her on Watch What Happens Live most recently, I feel like Eboni is much more at home with the housewives world. And I think that without the pressure of having to be just the main Black woman who has to show the other white women how Black culture is, I feel like without all of that pressure, then she can just basically live, baby, and just live. And I think that's what we want to see on these types of shows. But live fabulously, okay? You live fabulously. That's what I want to see. Fabulosity. So let me know what you guys think about this. Are you shocked? I am very shocked. Carlos King also put his name in the hat to produce that reboot. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Y'all gotta listen to you for yourselves because it is a doozy of a way to start a new podcast series. Carlos King, you did the doggone thing with this one. I cannot wait to see and hear who is next because I'm gonna be tuned right on in for the tea. All right. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell button, and I will catch you in the next video.